Hello guys, this is Rachel from the CSE and today I'm going to be explaining my 7th exercise in System Software and Compiler. My 7th exercise is predictive parser. So to create a predictive parser, basically it's like whenever I enter a string, it's going to parse through my string and find out the top. It's going to check through the grammar and it's going to give me the output as if the string has been accepted or not. So it is basically a top-down parsing technique that constructs a parse tree from top and input read is read from left to right. So this is a form of test and parsing tracking that does not require any backtracking. It is known as predictive parsing. This parsing technique is regarded recursive as it uses context-free grammar, which is recursive in nature. So I'm going to explain the code here. These are the input packet files, the imported files which are necessary for this program to run. And first I'm going to be creating an array stack. The size of my stack is going to be 20, and initially the top is made as -1. And then if the size whatever the user enters is going to be greater than 20, then it's going to give an exception called overflow exception, and this is the function for popping or removing element from the stack, and this is the this is for pushing it into it, and this is for displaying using a for loop. So inside the parser, what happens is like I'm going to create a transition table with the size 20, 20, and then an array list for an alphabet and for the terminals and non-terminals and so on. So the user enters the terminals and the non-terminals here, and then he's also going to enter the terminals. The terminals are like all the terminal whatever he's going to use simultaneously, and this is for reading the alphabet into that of the array alphabet. And so using for loop, you enter the values into the alphabet array, and that is going to be entered into a list. So when the user enters all the non-terminals simultaneously here, and what happens is like the values are going to be entered, all the states are going to be entered into the array alpha state, and so the list is also being created. So instead of epsilon, which we normally use while doing the problems, you're going to use at the rate of symbol here. And so the row entries, whatever are the row entries are going to be they are entered using a for loop. It is repeated again and again, and those values will get stored inside the transition table in the indexes SNR. And then so inside the parser, what happens is like the end of the character, like string whatever we enter, is going to end with hash $hash. So we're going to initially push the dollar into that of the stack, and initially the state is going to be 0. So if the input the character at is not equal to this hash function, then whatever value is entered in the string, it is going to be pushed into that of the stack character. So what happens is like if the alphabet and the index in index 1 the character 1 is entered, and inside the character 2 the value will be stored. So basically the idea is like if you get two characters which are similar to each other, then you just pop it, otherwise you keep pushing it in. So finally when there is null, then if it ends as null, then you can say that the string is not accepted. So in order for the string to be accepted, finally the end of the stack should be containing the dollar symbol. So this is done again using another for loop. So as you can see, this is used for splitting the input string. Whatever you give this arrow mark, will split it, and it will the values will be made into array values, and it will be stored in the transition table in index 2 and 1. And finally, when the last position, the index position, when it has a dollar, then we can say that the parsing has been successfully completed and the string has been accepted. So this is for my 7th exercise in compiler. This is going to be my output. So in my output, initially I have to enter all the terminals and non-terminals and the grammar and so on. And these are the terminals which have entered simultaneously and the non-terminals entered simultaneously. And this is the row transition entries which I'm going to be entering. And finally, when you see, this is the input string. This is the input string that I gave. And finally, when you see when it comes to when the dollar finally when it meets the dollar, that is the stack top, when it is dollar, we can say that the parsing has been successfully completed. So this is it for my 7th exercise. Thank you for watching this video.